Hi everyone, my name's Elizabeth, I'm a marine biologist and welcome to my channel Marine Mumbles, where every single week for almost 2 years I've explored, educated and entertained you guys about rock pooling, our ocean and the amazing and weird stuff that you find in it. If you like scientific art, marine biology and rock pooling, then subscribe to this channel because it is absolutely full of it. So far, my exploring has largely been based in the UK, specifically in Scotland where I am now. But for this week's video, I reached out on Twitter and the internet and got the rock poolers of the world to unite and send me their footage of their favourite rock pooling finds, and they did not disappoint. In this series where we will be exploring the world's rock pooling finds, we will be exploring them from 5 continents, over 10 countries and more than 50 rock pooling species. Now that is so much footage that today's video length just isn't going to be long enough. So this is the first part in this series, and then I'll have another video next Friday where we will continue to explore the rock pooling creatures of the world. It's definitely something you don't want to miss, so make sure you subscribe to my channel to not forget about that video coming out next week too. So, are you ready? Get your wellies on and come explore around the world with me. On our journey today around the world, we are going to be starting off on my home turf on a little beach called Arbroath in Scotland. Now, this beach is particularly full of one type of lovable, charismatic, amazing, but completely, once you get to know them, very grumpy and thieving little creatures. They are hermit crabs. I love these little creatures. They are really great to film. They're really charismatic and fun. The species that we find in the UK is Pagarus bernhardus, and because I like to give all rock pooling species a name, these guys are Bernie. Now, these aren't actually true crabs because these aren't born without a proper shell. In fact, they are born with just this little curly tail at the end, which they need to keep safe. So they borrow and use the shells of sea snails. But because the shell doesn't grow with them, as the hermit crabs get bigger, they need more and more different types of shells, and it's very important to them. I mean, it's their home, it's how they protect themselves, and this has led to their very grumpy and very thieving lifestyle, which was caught by one rock pooler all the way in New Zealand. Yep, these crabs like to steal not only the shells of the sea snails, but they like to steal the shells of other hermit crabs that they think will have a better size and a better shaped shell. In fact, this one decided to steal the shell and then decided it wasn't for it and chuck it back. Watching hermit crabs for long enough, you're bound to see this behaviour, and it's really quite comical to see these guys continually squabble about their homes and never quite make the perfect choices or find the perfect home. The hermit crab you see in New Zealand isn't Pagarus bernhardus, but it is a different type of the Pagarus group, and you're definitely not going to forget that this species is from New Zealand because its name is Pagarus newzealandi. I think I'm not the best at saying Latin, which I think is a nice tribute to the country that it's found in. So, compared to the hermit crab we get in the UK, this species looks a lot similar in colour. In fact, it's lost a bit of maybe the pinkish purplish that you would get on Pagarus bernhardus. We had another footage of a hermit crab be sent in from Lanzarote, and this is the St. Piran's hermit crab. The St. Piran's crab has a much darker redder colour and these gorgeous, like, cartoony almost looking eyes. It is a fantastic find, and actually it was rediscovered in the UK for the first time in 2016 because this crab species likes to live where it's warmer and there's a lot of sun, which means you can only find it in a very specific part of the UK, right at the bottom of the south coast of England. We're not going to find it up here in Scotland. The temperature just won't allow it. Talking of the sun, I now want to talk about a species that you can often find right on the lower shore, right at the bottom, closest to the sea when you're out rock pooling, that actually forms its own unique, biodiverse and absolutely wonderful habitat, kelp. But to do that, we're going to be zipping right down to South Africa. Kelp is also something that you find in the UK. If you want to find out about the absolutely incredible ecosystems that kelp forms, then check out my documentary series When the Tide Retreats and the episode all on kelp, which is linked up above, because they are truly fantastic resources for the world and have incredible biodiversity. But I'm going to now talk about the differences between the forests you can find in the UK to the ones you find in South Africa. The kelp forests in South Africa are particularly special because it's such a unique and amazing place for this habitat to grow. It's got great waters and great sunlight. This species, which is photographed here, is actually only found on the South African coast. And because of such great conditions and the fact that it's super sunny, instead of the 2 metres that the UK species get to grow to, these species can grow up to 8 metres. Now that might sound like a lot, but kelp can actually grow up to 60 metres with some of the biggest species, so meh. Now, let's travel around the world to Australia. Now, Australia has world famous marine life. People that rock pool there have things that are literally found in the world's best documentaries on oceans right at their fingertips, ready for them to go explore themselves. Now, when you think about marine life in Australia, one type of species might come to mind, but you're going to have to wait till next time to work out if you can actually find these guys rock pooling. But what I love even more, that for rock poolers that have the whole marine range at their fingertips, they could pick the species that we all love, the marine creatures we have seen on tons of documentaries. But no, this person sent in a sea hare, and I am so glad they did. In fact, not just the rock pooler in Australia sent in a sea hare, but also rock poolers from around the world. Australia, Curacao and the Antilles, and the UK. Okay, so I'm just interjecting because literally just as I finished filming the entirety of this video, someone has also sent me an email from Norway, and they too have sent over a sea hare, another sea hare to add to our sea hare domination. So I just have to include that, but you won't see it in the rest of the video because it was shot afterwards. But yes, sea hares! reason that I am emphasising the fact that so many people across the world think that sea hares are amazing is because they are one of the weirdest and, trust me, weirdest creatures on the entire planet. And they are incredible. Now, I'm not going to go into detail because I have made an entire video focusing on sea hares, and I don't want to spoil the journey that is to watch that video, because it takes you through why these really are incredible creatures. But just think, someone in Australia that could have sent in only sharks or only incredible, poisonous, crazy things you find in documentaries decided to send in a sea hare, and so did a load of other people. There's a reason for it, so go watch that video and get back to me about any questions, because my word, I love them so much. Now, there are a lot of weird things in the ocean. In fact, I think that a lot of inspiration for sci-fi movie things comes from the sea, because the sea has a really good job at producing some very weird and wonderful creatures. And another one of those weird and wonderful creatures was sent in by a rockpooler in Australia. So these guys are flatworms. We've also had a rockpooler send in footage of a flatworm from the Antilles. Flatworms are kind of known for being a weird and wonderful shapes, colours and patterns, and are a really, really cool find. But despite being complex in its colour, these are actually the simplest of all worms. By least complex, most simple, I mean that they haven't really evolved any of the tentacles or the segments or any other fancy things in a worm. It really is just 3 layers of different tissues with no space for organs. So it does stuff like eat and digest in a really simple way, which is basically like putting everything you eat in a cup and then getting the nutrients from it, and when you're done, chucking that cup back out. So these guys are actually evolved super simply despite such colourful variations in colour, but there are 20,000 of these really simply evolved flatworms, and I think that's incredible that they've decided that, yeah, we need a lot of different colours, but what we don't need is anything more complex, and they are still around and here today without all of those evolutionary traits. So that's pretty great. We still have so many species to talk about. We still have starfish and sea squirts and sponges and barnacles and anemones and fish and sharks. I feel like if we've got time for one more species in this video today, then it is going to be one of the most intelligent and mesmerising creatures on the entire planet. A species that can change colour better than anything else. A species that, if like me, has to use their fingers to count, could only count to 8. I am of course talking about octopuses. So I looked up what a group of octopuses would normally be called, and it would be called a consortium, which I think is a very fancy word. But today I will be talking about a consortium of octopuses because we had some great footage from around the world. And I'm not jealous at all because I've been looking for an octopus for ages and I still haven't found one in the wild for myself, but I really, really do like watching all of your octopus footage, so thank you very much. I'm not jealous at all, I'm not grumpy. And I imagine the word consortium isn't used that much because octopuses like to live a very solitary and short-lived existence. They only live for a few years, and scientists can't work out why they live such short lives. There's no reasoning for it. They just don't live very long. Footage of different species of octopus has been sent in Spain, America and New Zealand. I think octopuses are one of those creatures that if no one knew they existed and they didn't exist and like a fantasy book person had to make up a creature and a million fantasy writers made up a million different creatures each, you still wouldn't get to describe an octopus because they are just so fantastical, it's unreal. The only hard bit of their body is their beak, which is what they use to eat with, right on the inside, which means they can pass through any hole or anything that is basically bigger than its beak. They are one of the most intelligent animals out there. It's incredible what they can do. They can change colour using cells in their skin called chromatophores to do amazing patterns to blend in. They can change the texture of their skin to help that. They can use patternings to kind of show off, to communicate, to mesmerize prey. They are really highly intelligent and just super amazing evolutionary creatures, and really the top predator on any rocky shore you're going to find around the world. You can see the change in coloration in this octopus here. I personally think, not that I'm inside the octopus's head, I would have to ask him what he was doing, but he's making his body bigger and going white to kind of show them, I'm here, please don't disturb me, don't step on me, don't bother me. And then he turns back red, which blends in a bit more, and I just think is a fantastic encounter, and I can't wait to see an octopus in the wild for myself. That has been a whistle-stop tour around the world to see all of the different rock-pooling creatures that you have found. Now, trust me, it's worth coming back to see the other videos because we still have so much more footage to get through, and I really want to share what people have taken the time to share with me, with everyone else. A massive thank you to everyone that has sent footage in, and if you have amazing footage from your rock pooling trips, no matter where it is in the world, and want to share it with me, send it in because I can add this to future videos. In particular, I haven't got any rock pooling footage from Asia or Antarctica, so if you've been to any one of those amazing places and been rock pooling, but I'm not sure if you can rock pool in Antarctica, I don't know, let me know, then please send me your footage. I would love to see it and complete a full continent tour of the globes. I want to thank Sam for running the Global Science Show. It's an amazing initiative. If you don't know what it is a science show that runs all day from Australia and works its way around the world with different time zones to America and ends at the end of the day. It's running every month, so go follow Global Science Show to keep up to date and see all of the previous science shows and all of the upcoming science shows. I will see you back here next week for another video and back here next Friday for the next instalment of this series. Please subscribe. I'm a small YouTuber. I've been doing this for 2 years. I absolutely love what I do, and I just want to make sure that the wonderful world of rock pooling is shared with as many people as possible. And the best way to do that and support me is to subscribe and tell YouTube to keep sharing this video so we can finally, once and for all, have the stats to prove that rock pooling is the best hobby in the world. Thanks for watching, everyone. I will see you next week. Bye!